Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Rapid Recap. He is Steve Marik, I'm Zack Carpenter, and we're coming to you from Memorial Stadium where Nebraska suffered a 20-13 loss to Minnesota. Minnesota scored 20 straight points after Nebraska had taken a 10-0 lead. Nebraska had a little bit of last gasp fight in them, but overall it was kind of classic Nebraska, classic Husker offense. Where they come out that first drive, look like world beaters. They look hot on that scripted opening drive, and then they even added on to it with 10-0 lead after the first two drives, and then everything kind of went to doggy doo-doo after that for Nebraska. I mean, after the first two drives, they had 125 yards, 10 points, and then the next 7 drives, they had 5 3-and-outs, 1 first down, and an interception. So what do you take from this game? What's the number one takeaway?
Well, the number one takeaway is why Mark Whipple is choosing to leave in Chubba Purdy when it's clear Chubba Purdy just isn't seeing it, like Mickey Joseph said after the game, yet they keep trotting Chubba Purdy out, and then just it's, at most of the time it's too late. Chubba Purdy, his interception in the fourth quarter, to me, it looked like a shank punt almost. It had no velocity behind it. It just did not look like a Power 5 throw that a Power 5 quarterback would make. And so everybody's going to come out of this game talking about the quarterbacks, and they should. Logan Smothers deserves to play more for the Nebraska football team right now. But it's just something that we'll continue to ask Mickey Joseph about, and especially Mark Whipple about. Why doesn't Smothers play more? It seemed Logan got the final drive of the game, and he had a little bit more before that. But he had some good things going, and he had some bad things going. I know he could have ran for a first down. He made a missed throw on what would have been an easy completion. But overall, I think he provided some explosiveness, some juice, some hope to Nebraska's offense. With Chubba Purdy, I don't want to say there's any hope, because he did lead a touchdown drive on the very first opening drive of the game, but it just went downhill. The quarterbacks are just going to be the talking point this week, and as they should. But first half, Nebraska had things rolling, 151 total yards, 10 points, but in the second half, only 116 total yards, and they were, and then the touchdown. So, the rushing offense too. Nebraska had things going. 110 yards on the ground in the first half, but only 36 in the second. Third downs, 4 of 8 on third downs in the first half, but only 1 of 8 on third downs in the second half. I don't know, Zach. What do you think about the quarterback situation here?
I mean, well, just going off what you're talking about, the offense, it's so cliche, and I kind of roll my eyes when people say tale of two halves, but I mean, it kind of was, at least for when we're talking about Minnesota's running offense and Nebraska's run defense. I mean, Nebraska's run defense was absolutely awesome in the first half. Mm-hmm. They held Mohamed Ibrahim to 18 yards on 8 carries. He was number 2 in the Big Ten and number 4 in the country with 136.6 yards rushing per game. Minnesota was, I think, 244 rushing yards per game, which was, I think, 11th in the country and 2nd in the Big Ten. Nebraska held that game completely in check in the first half, and then in the third quarter alone, Minnesota had 217 yards and 13 points. But it was interesting. Just looking at the final stat lines tells you a lot. If you didn't watch the game, then when you actually watch the game, what it was like, the context of everything. Chubba Purdy finished 6 of 16 with an interception for 41 yards. Mm-hmm. Logan Smothers, I can't remember the passing total. He was 5 of 10.
5 of 10. Yards. 80 yards.
He essentially doubled the production that Chubba Purdy had, and Logan Smothers did it in 3 drives. He's put in a third quarter for a series, which was a 3-and-out. Pick a drive in this second half, and it's probably 3-and-out for Nebraska. But third quarter, and then he was inserted with 9:22 left to try and give him some juice, and he did. He promptly led Nebraska's offense down the field for a field goal. Marcus Washington, that connection for 32 yards up the left sideline here, and breathed life into an offense that was lifeless. And I think that's what we all thought going into the game throughout the week, the consensus opinion was Casey Thompson's not going to start. He's not going to play. I think I bought into it a little. I'm no doubt about it. I bought into the fact that Casey might play just based on his mental and physical toughness. But real quick note that we reported before the game when it was clear that Casey was going to be out. Friday night they had their final test to test Casey Thompson's arm strength, that nerve injury in his throwing arm, and Casey was going to try to convince them to let him play because that's the kind of guy he is, a competitor who's going to want to go out there. But ultimate decision was to not allow him to play so he can rest up and not risk suffering further injury. But that also meant that two quarterbacks who are very inexperienced and do not have nearly the same playmaking ability as him had to play in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I before we get out of here, I want to say two quotes from a couple players on the team and from post-game. First of all, Caleb Tanner being a very good having a really good leader moment. He's a team captain, and he said, he was asked what the difference was between the first half and the second half. Straight up, Caleb just said they came out harder than us, they wanted it more, and we got too comfortable. So that just, that doesn't...
You're too comfortable if you're this Nebraska team.
Yeah, if you're this Nebraska team, it doesn't make sense.
Or just this Nebraska program where it's been so unsuccessful the last 4+ years. You get a little taste of it, and you're 3-3, and I just don't understand in any world where you can be too comfortable with a 10-0 lead at halftime when you've had just such a lack of success. But anyway, carry on.
For sure. And Marcus Washington, also talented receiver. He stepped up to the podium and he said positive things about both quarterbacks, Chubba Purdy and Logan Smothers. He said there's not really a difference catching passes from them. I think that's just a player doing his own player speak, coach speak, whatever you want to call it, just saying the positive thing at the podium, which is what he's supposed to do. I understand that. But he also said Logan balled out when he got the opportunity. And I think a lot of fans in Memorial Stadium watching at home saw that. Long story short, Logan Smothers deserves to play way more than he is right now. Chubba Purdy is just, it's not really hitting right now.
Didn't you see, didn't we anticipate more snaps from Smothers? I mean, in the first half, after those first two drives from Purdy, it's completely understandable. Like, all right, he's got a rhythm, he's got something going. He had that dynamic of using his legs.
Yeah.
I mean, his passing game in the first two drives wasn't looking good. It was the best friend to a backup quarterback is a strong running game.
Yes.
Which they had. I mean, Anthony Grant looked like the Anthony Grant in those first 5 games where he was looking like an all Big Ten caliber running back.
Yep.
Finally got back to that with I think his 5th 100-yard rushing game of the year, which I think is the first time since 2018 that Nebraska running back has done that. But strong running game, quick passing game, which is what they're doing, quick throws to the outside and then across the middle. And then he established that rhythm, but after the next 3 or 4 drives, there was just nothing there, and I kind of felt like we would see Smothers a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Just going to be a long week ahead. More quarterback questions, obviously, to Mark Whipple and Mickey Joseph.
And I know not to be a dead horse, because I think I've said it 2 or 3 times already, but I think the Nebraska fan base was enjoyed to hate on Casey Thompson because he's not going to be a future first-round draft pick, might not even be an NFL quarterback just because of those factors. I think there's plenty of people who like to hate on Casey Thompson as a quarterback, but I think now everybody's realizing what this offense looks like and what it doesn't look like when you don't have him at the forefront leading it with those explosive plays that just were not there today. A lot of things were not there today. We were there today.
We were there today.
We were there today to see Chubba Purdy and Logan Smothers quarterback this team. We'll see if that happens next week against Michigan, or as Brock Bando said, Michigan and Jesus in the post-game press conference. That was a great time.
It's been a long day for everybody, players included.
We'll hopefully have a great time at Michigan next week as we travel there, and then providing coverage throughout the week at Nebraska.rivals.com and the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel. For Steve Marik, I'm Zack Carpenter, and we will see you guys again the next time.